Hello everyone, this is Professor Keen. Today what I'll be doing is continuing my discussion of Stellarium, the free software package that I introduced you to during the previous lecture. You might recall that in the previous lecture, I showed you how to open up Stellarium software and how to change some of the settings. For example, how to change the location so that you can stargaze from either your home city, where I am is in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, or some other city if you'd like. I also showed you how to turn on and off the grid system that allows you to look at the coordinates of various stars, planets, and the moon and the sun. And then we spent a little bit of time looking at this motion of the sun across the sky over the course of the day. We watched the sunset, and we watched Jupiter and Saturn and the moon rise. I'd like to continue our discussion, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Stellarium software. Once again, I'll click on Stellarium. It is about 1:18 in the afternoon on August 24th, 2020. I'm going to use these tabs at the bottom to turn on the grid system. And I will also turn on the constellation art. And I will turn on the constellation labels. So you can see there that the moon right now is in Libra, and you see Virgo and sextans, the sextant, and so on. All right, and what I want to do right now, I guess we're looking right now kind of toward the south. The sun, if we look up a little bit, it is just past our meridian. It's a little bit after noon. What I want to do is step back in time to last night. So if we open up the date and time window, I'll put it here in the corner, and let's go back hour by hour, 12, 11, 10, 9, move that around, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So about 1 o'clock in the morning last night, and you'll remember if we viewed to the south, well, there are Jupiter and Saturn that are just about to set. I'm going to close the date and time window so I have a little bit more field of view. So Jupiter and Saturn are just about to set. You can see, if you look a little bit toward the southeast, you can see Mars up here, right? So Mars rose a few hours ago. And now what I want to do is look directly to the east and let time progress and see what we see as the sun rises. So this would be the morning of the sunrise that we just had. I'll let the time go forward a little bit more quickly than usual. So what's 1:30 in the morning? You see Taurus the bull. By the way, you can see the Pleiades right here. It's a little star cluster. Aldebaran is the eye of the bull. Look a little bit more to the east. Let's go a little bit faster. Okay, and there you see Orion rising in the east at about 3 o'clock in the morning. His left shoulder is Betelgeuse. Oh, and look, there you have it. You see Venus rising. So it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, and Venus, which is currently in the, as of August 24th, in the constellation Gemini. So you see Venus right there. I'm going to keep going now as the morning progresses. You see Cancer rising now, the crab. Go a little bit faster. And there we have sunrise right around 6 in the morning. I guess at 6:25 in the morning. And notice once the sun has risen, it becomes so bright that it's very difficult to see even the brightest of the stars, or in this case the planets. Venus is now going to be invisible just after sunrise. Okay, I want to point out a couple of other things. This is going to be a very important constellation, and we'll spend a little bit more time looking at this later. I'm going to turn off the atmosphere so we can see the stars a bit better. Okay, so the sun is just about to rise. It has just risen, rather. And you can see Orion right here. There are 3 stars in his belt that are very visible right here. His left shoulder is Betelgeuse. His right foot is Rigel. And if we want to turn on the connecting lines for the constellations, you can see here we've connected the lines that make up the constellation of Orion. Orion is, of course, followed by his 2 hunting dogs, Canis Major and Canis Minor. Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. It's actually a double star, a binary star. They orbit around each other. That's why it looks, part of the reason why it looks so bright. And Procyon is a very bright star in Canis Minor. And Orion is hunting the bull Taurus, whose eye is Aldebaran. Okay, I'm going to turn the atmosphere back on. All right, and now what I want to do is allow the sun to move through the sky as it rises. There, see it's rising in the east. One thing I want to point out at this point, let me pause, notice how this enormous celestial sphere, that is the grid system on which the stars are located as it appears to be rotating around the Earth, these lines that make up these latitude lines of this grid system, these are actually lines of declension, the declension lines, declination lines. These come in at about a 45-degree angle from the horizon. So when the sun rises, it's rising up at about a 45-degree angle from the horizon. This is precisely because we live at about 45 degrees north latitude here in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Technically, it's about 43 degrees, but the angle that these lines make with the horizon is directly related to the latitude at which we are located. Later on, when we go to other places, for example, when we're viewing from the equator or when we're viewing from the North Pole, these lines are going to make a different angle with the horizon, but we'll come back to that more later. Okay, and also, by the way, as you look toward the west part of the sky, as the constellations are setting, I'll go ahead and let this move. As the constellations are setting, notice that these lines are coming in once again at about a 45-degree angle. So as the sun sets later this afternoon, it'll be setting at about a 45-degree angle. Okay, let's look back toward the southern, actually, let's look toward the northern part of the sky. We haven't spent much time doing that. So let's look directly to the north. Notice here what we're doing is we're looking at this celestial grid as it's rotating about a particular point. What point is that? Well, that is Polaris, the North Star, which is the tip of the tail of the Little Bear Ursa Minor. If I turn off the atmosphere, you can see that Polaris is not exactly at the North Pole of this celestial sphere that's rotating around us. It's just off to the side, but it's close enough. So all these stars, which are fixed, so to speak, to the celestial sphere, are rotating around on these lines. Okay, so that's what's happening if you look toward the north. All right. Let's look back toward the south. Okay, so right now the sun, let me put the atmosphere back. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. I'll turn the atmosphere back on. You can see that the sun is rising. Let's move forward a little bit faster. And let me put up the meridian line. So I'm going to go to, oops, not the search window. I want to go to the sky view, and I want to put on markings the meridian line. Close this. So this is the line that goes from our south point up through the point directly above us, the zenith, and if we swing around back to the north, you'll see that this line goes all the way through Polaris and drops down directly north of us. So this meridian line is basically a line that goes from the north point to the south point and up straight above us to the highest point of the sky. Now what I want to point out, I want us to take a look at the motion of the sun across the meridian. So let's go ahead and let this move forward in time a little bit faster. And notice that the sun is crossing the meridian right around this time, which is about 12:54 today. Okay, and notice that it is at about plus 10 degrees above the celestial equator. Okay, so it's 5 degrees, 10 degrees above the celestial equator, and the celestial equator, which is at 0 degrees right here, is about 45 degrees or so above the horizon. So the sun is at about 45, this point right here is at 45 degrees above the horizon, another 10, so it's about 55 degrees above the horizon on August 24th at local noon. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the date and time window. And what I want to do is I want to jump forward day by day at the same time and see what happens to the sun. Okay, so let's imagine instead of August 24th, we're going to look at August 25th. Move this down a little bit. On August 25th, where is the sun going to be right around noon? Okay, if I go through the days, 26th, August 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, September 1st, notice that about noon, as we continue on through the year, September 1st, September 2nd, the sun is going to be lower and lower above the horizon on at local noon. Okay, and also notice that it is moving through the background constellations. Okay, so there we're at September 22nd. By the way, notice that on September 22nd, the sun is going through this line right there, which is 0 degrees latitude on the celestial sphere. That is, it's going from the north half of the celestial sphere and it's passing into the southern half of the celestial sphere. This particular day, September 22nd, or sometimes it falls on September 21st, has a very special name. It is called the day of the autumnal equinox. It is technically the date on which the sun passes from the north half of the celestial sphere into the south half of the celestial sphere. That's the autumnal equinox. Again, if this is all probably new to many of you, so if you're not grasping this all right away, don't sweat it. We're going to come back to this again and again over the next few weeks, and you'll understand this no problem.